Hello everybody, Dreamer, and today I want to talk about Honkai Star Rail. And this is going to be more of a review. I know the last video I made was kind of an overview. I was still kind of like learning the game. I was kind of going through the systems and everything that I knew about. This is going to be a little bit more of a review and what I think of the game. And I'm currently Trailblaze level 31, almost to 32. I have beaten the first planets. Star Rail map. I have beat, is it Harello? Jarello 6? Harello 6? I think the J is silent. I didn't beat that. I've just got to the second region, this little spaceship thing, the Lufa place. I haven't done much there. I literally got there, and kind of how I've been playing this game is I'll kind of go in, I'll do some story, I'll do whatever the event quests are, I'll do some grinding, and then I'll get off the game. I don't just hard focus the story, and I do try to knock out as many side quests as I can. I did have a huge list. I've knocked it down to 0, and then these are some more quests I've happened to pick up on the way, but I did have the blue quests completely gone. The purple quests I still need to catch up on, and then I'm still doing the main scenario quest. I've been trying to play this game pretty casually, doing a little bit of everything and not just focusing on one thing. I do know grinding is going to be a huge part of this game during the times when there's no story. So I've been trying to do some grinding in the middle of, well, just to kind of break up how I'm playing the game. Now doing that, I think I'm doing fairly well as far as when it comes to terms of like progression. But yeah, so what do I think of Honkai Star Rail? Like I said, I think it's an absolute banger by MiHoYo. If you've played Genshin before, has a lot of the same systems in the game. That being said, it is nothing like Genshin outside of the systems. We're going from like a fantasy, open world, action-adventure game to a little bit more streamlined, sci-fi, turn-based game. Now, there is a little bit of exploration, and in fact, these regions, I think, are fairly dense. Let's go to Harello 6. Let's go to the Administration District. I think it's kind of a good spot to kind of show the game's graphical fidelity.
It's getting late.
I am playing this on
Where'd
iPhone. It looks pretty darn massive, right? I think the backdrops are really, really cool. The game runs fairly well. I do play this game on max settings at 30 FPS on the phone because I think frame rate doesn't really mean as much over graphics when it comes to turn-based games. When it comes to like action games and shooters, at that point, how smooth the game definitely affects gameplay purposes. In this game, it does not. What happens if I get hit by a tree? Nothing. You slow down. Sorry, man, in the way. Let's get out of the way. He does take time to slow down, so let's see if I can. Oh, there's even like little sparks when he slows down. That's cool. But yeah, let's go to an area that we can do some combat. So let's go to Backwater Pass. Besides, I need the resources, so grinding these characters are definitely going to be something I'm going to want to do. You know what? Do I want to do this? What does this give me? Do I need this for anything? We'll pass this for right now. Now, when it comes to combat, like I said, it is turn-based, but every character has a thing called a technique, which is my second ability you see in the bottom left. Now, the technique gives you a slight advantage when coming into a fight. So after using this technique, I will gain a shield that can absorb 30% of my defense. So this is going to give me a really big, beefy shield.
Nice.
That being said, I would say the technique of Gepard is a lot better because he gives the entire team a 24% shield. His shield is better, but he only gives it to himself. So, that being said, he does have a taunt ability. I love the balancing of this game. So Gepard and then the Fire Trailblazer are both tanks. They both do the job really, really well. The Trailblazer really does a good job at taunting enemies and keeping them focused on beating on them. Gepard can do that a little bit, but because he's less efficient at doing that, he gives the entire team shields. Technically, the Trailblazer gives shields, but they're so tiny that I think they're not even really worth talking about. Now, as far as skills go, you have your basic attack here. And then you've got an ultimate. Then you have your skill that's inside the fight. Your technique is a skill outside of the fight, and your skill is the skill that's in the fight. And then, of course, you have a passive.
Nice.
All characters have this. And then you have light cones, which is this game's version of weapons. I really wish the weapon that the character holds gets a cooler animation or a cooler effect the higher these light cones go in terms of level, just to kind of give you a visual progression. But it is what it is. All these are just stat sticks. They give you a cool passive, and then of course gives you HP, attack, and defense. Then you have traces. This is like the talent levels. Right here you've got I believe this is your ultimate. This is your passive. This is your skill, and this is your basic attack. And then it branches out over. It gives you like small stat upgrades. So this one will give HP. This one will give attack. And this one's another passive effect. So these bigger nodes are passive effects, and the smaller ones are usually just flat stat increases. And then you've got your relics, which are the game's version of gear, like the artifact system in Genshin. I will say I like Genshin's artifact system a bit better because there's 5 slots instead of 4, giving you a flex slot. So if you had a really hard time getting a certain cup, like say you were trying to get a Pyro cup on set, but you couldn't because RNG sucks, then you could just fill that slot in with another Pyro cup you happen to get while grinding another set. So there's added flexibility in Genshin's system. This game doesn't really give you that flexibility. If you want the 4-piece passive set, you have to have all on set. There is no flex slot. Now there are Eidolons, which is this constellations in Genshin. Pretty much if you pull a dupe, you get these. I think Genshin, because it's a little bit more dynamic, they could do a lot more with the constellation than this game, which means this game, the Eidolons, most of the time gives you a stat buff. Like, for example, when we look at my boy Japard, his skill has a 30... has a 6-star, there it is, has a 65% base chance to freeze an enemy for 1 turn. Well, if you get him at Eidolon 1, you get an extra 35%, which will increase his chance to 100%, so going from most of the time freezing to all the time freezing. Now, of course, there is effect resistance. If his effect resistance is, if his effect rate is too low, that can be countered by enemy resistances, but the chance of it actually, triggering a freeze is going to be 100%. I think that's just really, really strong. So, and that I will have to give it a demerit because I think this game kind of leads a little bit more pay-to-winny. That being said, it is a single-player RPG. So what exactly are you going to be winning against? I think these types of games, the more you spend, the less fun it's going to be because the easier it's going to get. So take that as you will. Let's go into a combat. So we will use a technique to gain myself a shield. And these guys are weak against fire, ice. So there's probably some ice monsters with them as well. That's why there's a fire weakness. But either that or physical. We'll just go in there and smack them with fire. Probably break down into some ice enemies. Yep, sure did. And I trotted it. Okay. So I actually took out the freezy enemy, so that's kind of cool. We're gonna go ahead and buff Arlon here.
Fight to win.
And then we're going to use my attack. Probably get my ultimate. No, it does not get my ultimate. I see. Okay. So I think what we'll do just to, I know it's kind of a waste here. We're gonna give him a massive buff.
Let me pay you back.
No, I did not one-shot him. All right.
I'm on guard.
Let's go ahead and build up my magma gauge. Smack him. Smack him.
Time for a shot. Nap time.
Welcome, customers.
Fight to win. This should kill him. Yep, it did. Round 2. Another trotter appears. Okay. So there are a lot of ice enemies, so we're going to go ahead and take advantage of this. Forward! I killed him with it. Awesome. That works for me. Okay. Go ahead and buff him up
Haven't
again.
learned your lesson.
This time we're going to attack Trotter
Naughty
and
child.
then use my
Is
ult.
that all you got?
I'll
Let me pay you back tenfold.
Got it. So, as you can see,
Reach
that's
the end
combat.
of the story in your
Nothing
own way.
super crazy. Those enemies are kind of easy. There are harder enemies. The Echo of War are just boss fights that you get to challenge again, but they're at a much greater difficulty.
Look, preservation.
Let's go smack this guy. Oh, yeah. We'll do this one. Man, I just killed him right away.
Fight to win.
It's gonna be a fast fight. Yep, it's a fast fight. I need these materials though, the glimmering cores. I need a lot of these for my other Tinky guy. So that's combat. Combat's fun. If you don't like turn-based, I would say still give it a shot. I had a buddy who says that, you know, he said he didn't like turn-based, but he likes this game. So take that as you will. Graphics, 100% fantastic. Mihoyo really knows how to make good graphics. Music,
Nice.
top-notch music. Some of the boss fights have their own soundtrack, and those soundtracks are something I would listen to while not playing the game. And that's the same thing when it comes to Genshin, man. The Mihoyo puts a lot of effort when it comes to music. Graphically, they make these anime-style games, and it's really not hard to knock these things out of the park. I don't think I've seen an anime-style game that looks necessarily bad. But I will say, when it comes to graphical fidelity versus Genshin, I will say it is better looking. And that's just because there's a lot more detail when it comes to things. I think Genshin is very much a more child cartoony game, and this is a little bit more teenage to young adult anime game, if that makes any sense. I'm not saying Genshin looks bad. I think the world looks gorgeous. It's part of the reason why I get so addicted and immersed to that game, is because it's a huge open world, beautiful game.
Nice.
I will say this game leads to a little bit more of a mature anime style. So graphically good. If I had to give numbers to things, I would say music is 10 out of 10. I usually don't like in-game music, but if I'm listening to your game outside of the song, I'm just going to give it a 10. So 10 out of 10 for that. Graphically, I absolutely love the effects. I love the animations. I would say it's a 9 out of 10 for graphical fidelity. When it comes to this game's systems, I think they're fine.
Nice.
I would have to give it a demerit because of the Eidolon system. I think some of the Eidolons are a little too strong, and it just really pushes for those pulling for dupes, which makes you, of course, have to kind of go into your wallet. So
Nice.
I would probably give the system a 6.5, maybe a 7, but no higher than a 7 if I was being generous. The whole Eidolon system, and I think that will kind of go into the microtransaction part. I think the microtransactions, I would give it a 5. It is a gacha game, so you can't go into these gacha games expecting much when it comes to the monetization. I do think they have a good values in terms of the battle pass is worth getting. If you get the battle pass, it provides you a ton of like currencies, leveling materials, ascension materials, even gives you a unique weapon. At the very end of it, it does give you quite a few in-game currencies. So I think the battle pass is worth the $10. There's a thing kind of like the Welcome Moon in Genshin where you spend $5 and you get a little bit of the premium currency every day for a month. It adds up to being, I think, almost 20 pulls. I think it's like 19 pulls you get, or somewhere along those lines. You get quite a bit for $5. So like if you think of it like you buy the battle pass and then you buy the Welcome Moon or whatever this game's version is called, you spend roughly $15 a month. I know the battle pass goes beyond a month, so I think of it like a subscription.
Nice.
Now I did pick up a Stellar Jade pack, and what I did is I picked up the pack that I think the game was worth. And in my honest opinion, I think this game, if it was sold at box price, I think I would spend $30 on the game. To me, I would spend $60 if I didn't have all the gacha in it. If I could just play the game and collect all the characters normally, I would easily pay $60 for this game. Or heck, I would spend $70 with the new $69.99 markup they've got going on. But because I really do think it's that good of a game. That being said, if it did have a box price, I would easily spend $30 on it. So I did pick up the $30 Stellar Jade pack. That's all I plan on spending in terms of the packs. If I do continue to play the game, I'll probably still pick up the $5 thing and the Battle Pass. But in terms of just buying Stellar Jade, I don't... the problem is you don't want to... You get into a habit of spending money on these games, and a lot of money can go away really, really quickly. Do bear that in mind. But the game does give you a ton in terms of Jade in the game. So being able to do all the events, doing the quests, general exploration. If we look, I'm already at 6K, and I was completely... I think I had 21 gold tickets, and I think I was around 5 or 6K. And then I spent some money on some extra Stellar Jade, but I went all the way down to like 0. Like I didn't even have a pull left when I got Silver Wolf. And then I've farmed my way all the way back up to 6.1 again. So if we go to the exchange, go to Stellar Jade shop, I currently have 38 pulls that I can purchase. On top of the current wishes I've gotten 8. So I'm already getting really close to that soft pity for the next character. And this banner is still up for another 16 days. And then when the other guy comes out, he's going to be out for about 21 days. So I should easily be able to pull a 5-star. That being said, the biggest reason why I don't like the monetization in this game comes down to the fact that when you're pulling on these characters, you have a 50% chance to get the character when you do happen to pull the 5-star, right? So you say you're spinning the little wheel, and it happens to land on that 0.6% little notch, that little pixel line you see in your circle that you made. You happen to land on that, either that or you go all the way to soft or hard pity, which is like 75 to 90 pulls. Absolutely massive amount of pulls you need to hit that soft pity area. And then you still have a 50% chance to get the character, which means you have a 50% chance to not get the character. Now, I am going for Lirocha. I think that's how you say his name. He is an imaginary healer. He seems absolutely incredible. But at the fact I have a 50-50 chance. 50% chance to get the character, 50% chance to miss, and get someone from the standard banner. Now, if you do miss, the next one is 100%. You're guaranteed that next character. But the fact that the odds are so small and it takes so many pulls to get the character, and then you still have a chance of missing on top of that, I think is extremely dumb. Extremely dumb. If the rates were higher, I would be like, fine, whatever. But the fact the rates are ass, and the fact you can still miss the character. Now, I'm going for the Ocha because, for one, he's imaginary, but two, he's another healer. You get Natasha. Natasha's fine and all, but you only get one healer in the game. And if you want to do some of the in-game content, you gotta have 2 teams, and the fact that you've only given me 1 healer makes it to where being able to do that second team is going to be rather difficult. So, that is what it is. I believe they're giving away imaginary character in the near future. I think it's like 1.2. So if that is the case, having the whole imaginary thing won't be as big of an issue. But I'm mainly just going for him because he's a healer. He can dispel buffs, which seems to be really, really strong. But if I do miss him, if I got Bailu, which is one of the 5-star healers in the standard banner, if I can get Bailu, I wouldn't really be upset. In fact, I think I would be happy because then I would have a guaranteed 5-star of my choice in the future. I still got a healer. In fact, Bailu is an incredible healer at that. So if I missed Lilocha and I got Bailu, I think I would probably be happier than if I got just Lilocha in the first place. But, I would be happier either way. That being said, if we look at the standard banner, getting Bailu is definitely a shot in the dark because you have Himiko, Welt, Bronya, Japard, Clara, Yashing, I don't even know how you pronounce his name, and then Bailu. I would have an equal chance to get all those characters. I don't want Himiko. She seems good, but I don't like her weapon. I think that's my biggest thing. I think her weapon's really weird. Welt would be really cool. He is imaginary. Bronya, I don't necessarily... I wouldn't be upset if I got her in the future, but the fact I already have buffers, it's just... she's definitely not the first character I would go for. I already have Japard. Clara seems okay. Yashing seems really cool, but I really, really want Bailu. So I just need more healers. That's it. So I've been saving all my gems, doing all the events, doing everything, and I think the game does give you quite a few Stellar Jade. The game gives you quite a few wishes, especially the standard pulls. They give you a ton of those as you're playing the game. All kinds of different systems in the game that just gives you these pulls. So take that as is. In fact, you know what? Let's go ahead and I'll show you the summoning animations. I'll waste some Stellar Jade for you guys. Hopefully I get an early 4-star so I could. I would like to get a 4-star. So that's not a 5-star. If you look at the ticket, if it gets all blurry, then you know it's so it's just gonna give me a light cone. Let's go ahead. We'll pull again. We'll pull again. Early 5-star. The last 5-star I got was a light cone. I'm using it all on now. So nope. We'll go again. No, I just pulled the 5-star. So it'll be a really early 5-star. Yes. Okay, give me a character. I keep getting light cones from this thing. Yeah. All right, I got Herda, a character I don't use. Okay, so there's that. So we go to the constellations, go to Herda, Eidolons. She is now at 3. Yeah, I just don't use Herda. It is what it is, though. It is what it is. It's a gacha game. So I was just wanting to show you the animations. So, but yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I can go over. Really, really, really fun game. Would really, really recommend it. Let's go into this fight. We'll do one more fight.
Welcome,
He absolutely destroys those icebergs. Smack. 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 Ow. Now, my dude does have a light cone, which increases his chance of getting smacked. So that's good. We'll go ahead and buff you up, and we're going to have you just one-shot this guy. Boom. Called it. Absolutely destroyed him. And I got some glimmer core out of that. Heck yeah. I didn't go over the way you can grind in this game. So these things are like ley lines or domains. I think it's this book. So we do have Simulated Universe, which I get to go grind that this week because it resets. It's kind of like an in-game roguelike game mode. It's actually really, really, really fun. Then we have the Calyx Goldens. So these things provide you XP books for characters, XP cartridges for weapons, and then credits if you broke. The Crimsons gives you things for traces, and I believe these things are also used on Ascension, but these are just mainly for the traces, the talent upgrades. Then we have these things. I think these are Ascension and also some of the higher end traces. I believe it's mostly for Ascension. Yeah, it's just Ascension materials. Oh, it says right there, trace materials, Ascension materials. Okay, I'm blind. Then we have relics, which are this game's version of artifacts. I'm not going to really worry about farming these things until I can start getting golds, the 5-star ones. Then this one, Echo Award, these are just boss fights. These gives you light cones and more trace materials. The advanced trace materials, that's what I was thinking of when I was looking at these. These materials give you things like this or this, and these are used for those bigger passives in the trace tree. And then Forgotten Hall is your abyss. That's pretty much what it is. It's just the abyss in Genshin. But yeah, okay. I believe I went over everything now. We've done some summoning. Went over characters. I don't know if I went over all my characters. But the game does give you a lot of free characters in the game. And those characters are actually really good. Compared to, like, once again, I know I'm comparing it to Genshin a lot. But it's the closest to this game in terms of
nice
gacha game goes, right? So you know, the starter characters they give you are actually really good in comparison to Genshin. I think the only good free character that you get in Genshin would be Xiangling in the Abyss. You get Kaya early on. He's really good. Lisa, I don't like Lisa. Noelle, I don't like Noelle either. Amber, we all know Amber sucks. So, yeah, this game, you know, you get March 7th, really good shielder. Dong Hung, really good single target, really good AoE. She's okay, I guess. Asta, really good breaker, buffer. MC, you're going to get all the elements. Right now, he's a tank. He's a really good one at that. Natasha, pretty good healer. So, you get a lot of really good free characters in the game. I don't feel like like in Genshin, most of the characters that they give you at the start. You could beat Genshin with those characters. You can make them good. But it's like you could just use another character that does their job way better. And then you would just have an easier time. So, anyways, I think this video has gone on long enough. Ultimately, I think you should try the game. Even if you don't like turn-based games, try the game. Get through the prologue. Kind of get into Gorilla 6. Kind of get into the story. I think if you're going to spam the skip button in this game, you're not going to enjoy it as much because it is like 75% story. So if you skip the story, you're skipping 75% of the game. So then you're left with just a turn-based game and grinding. You know, I would say try to get into the story. They do a lot better at pacing in this game than Genshin. Genshin gets really, really wordy quickly, and some people get bored of it and just start skipping through it. But Genshin has a lot more to it than story. There's that, you know, the whole open world aspect really does keep people engaged and just want to skip the story to play the actual game. So, but yeah. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you want to see more Honkai Star Rail videos, hit that subscribe. If you want to see different videos of other games, put it in the comments below. Just let me know what y'all want, and I will get to it as soon as I can.